This time I would like to talk about what everybody calls the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And my whole family, they are members of the church. I was baptized when I was 14 myself in Europe. I came over to South America. I was active. Then I became inactive because I traveled to some islands, to the Galapagos, and there was no church here. Then I became active again, on and off. For different reasons, or for whatever reasons, I'm not active. Sometimes I like to have a few drinks. I like to drink coffee. Sometimes I smoke, sometimes I don't. Whatever. I want to I'm a bit the black sheep of my family. But all that is not the issue. The issue is that I have seen with time a lot of publications or interviews with even leaders of the church and documentaries online and so forth about ex-members of the church and how the church is being brought under attack. And one day I was reading all about that because it is interesting to know what people say about a particular religion, how they feel about it, especially ex-members who have retired and so forth. And just out of curiosity, because I like to think of myself as I have a lot of interest. I'm interested in things. And one day I went like, okay, I'm going to see detractors of, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then you have the denomination Mormon, which is not a branch, which separated from the church, and which have polygamy. That is not they call themselves Mormons, so that's why we don't really want to call the real church Mormon Church, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to make a clear cut with those other practitioners. And because we believe in following the laws of the land, and it's illegal, and so we cannot. If you commit what do you call it, being with someone else while you're married, if you do that at adultery, then you can be excommunicated from the church. It is a very, very serious offense. Very serious. So, anyway. So I went and looked online with Google to find detractors. What happens with other religions? When people leave the Catholic Church and the Evangelical Church and the Protestant Church and the Church of England and the Church of Lutheran and Protestant and whatnot, And, you find a few people that write about it and so forth, but not even 1% of the amount of, sometimes even vicious, fun-making, whatever, or if not visceral, ugly attacks on the church and against the church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And all I could say is, sorry, my eye is itching a little bit. All I can say is that is so beneath ourselves, because I'm a non-active member. So if I become inactive and I decide to live my life differently, When I became a member and when I was an active member, that's what I did. That's a decision that I made. And then maybe one day I got tired, I went like, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to do this. I just want to be home, And I decided not to go anymore. Or I felt it like it was too much weight. Whatever. But why should I actually have to talk evil of that church and those people? Even if there were a few things, which can happen in the branch or whatever, or certain leaders, a local leader, whatever, that you don't like or whatever. There's no real reason to be so visceral. I've never been able to understand that. So all I would say is that people that dedicate themselves, and some of those publications and everything, books, name it, really, they've taken a lot of work, a lot of investment, a lot of resources. Not just stuff, that someone says like that, like I'm doing now. No, heavy duty. Why would they put so much resources into that? Unless there are resources, that are actually promoting all that actively because of their own interests. It's like when you're playing football and you use tricks in the field to make the other one fall or whatever. You don't play fair. It smacks of that. And because it comes from a lot of different sources, you don't see that. But it can be that just a few sources are financing or are promoting or are looking for these people that have left the church and so forth, and then to use them as a front and to make believe that it's like a general consensus that there is nobody really with some sort of dark agenda behind all that. But let's say that, conspiracy theory apart, that is just the people. Well, then shame on us. If you lost your faith, or you fell in love with another religion, or you just want to be free, then move on with your life. What interest is it of yours to attack a church, any religion in general? What do we care? Are you involved with it? No. So then? So what's your problem? Spite? You were part of a church, and until the last day that you were there because that was your decision. And when you want to walk back in, you can go and back in any time. No one will ever, even if you wrote anything about the church, no one will ever tell you not to go back. So I think that, it's shameful. And ultimately, by doing all that, what the community, the world community, general public is doing is actually, because there's no real reason ridiculing a religion, any religion. All we're doing is actually, they don't say anything. They don't say anything. They leave it in the hands of God, of their God or whatever. But ultimately, the people that do these kind of things, those are the ones that I feel like they sound bitter and they sound bitter. Yeah. They are the problem. Maybe they wanted to be in the church and they wanted to say how things should go and what should happen, and they wanted to be the leaders instead of being humble and go with the program of the church, any church. They go like, yeah, well, they feel like I think they weren't humble enough. I think that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that, sometimes I feel I'm just not strong enough. It's not a church for weak people. They don't call us children of God for no reason. You're a son of God. You're a daughter of God. You're a powerful being. Cultivate that spiritual gumption, that grit, that solid bedrock of faith. That takes a lot out of you. To serve in the church, it's like to serve in the military. You put everything on the line and you get nothing back. Once a Marine, always a Marine, right? A SEAL, Ranger, Special Forces, whatever, SAS, paratroopers. You put everything on the line, and even your life. You'll never get rich. And people will sometimes say, thank you for your service. Short of that, you just have to live and work and make do by yourself. Ultimately, when you meet another Marine or another Navy SEAL and you go Semper Fi, you both know that you belong to a brotherhood. The same with the church. It's a brotherhood. You don't go to the church to get anything out of it. You go to the church because it's a gateway. It's a gateway to a higher dimension of existing, of philosophical and spiritual thinking. And applying that in your daily life, you become enriched because you end up close to the end of your road. You end up actually realizing that you don't want anything. That the only thing that validates you is service. To be able to do something for someone else or for the collective well-being. You realize that no matter what you do, you will never be perfect. You will never really believe or be worthy of the title of being a saint, because you're not. You're fallible. But then in the Bible, read Romans. Yes, in our heart we want to be perfect. We want to follow the teachings of Christ and achieve perfection. And in Christ we can be perfect. But in the flesh, we cannot. No matter what we do. Because we've been put in the flesh. And the flesh is corruptible. That includes your brain. That includes your brain, so that, your chemistry. So that something happens and you get angry. And you shout, or you get lazy, or whatever. That's all your brain and your chemistry and so forth. That's not you spiritually. The you spiritually, that's quantum. Yeah, that's where you are not only connected in your imagination, but you are totally immersed and actively connected to the quantum, to the universe, to nature, to the creation. Anyway, I think that spite and bitterness and so forth is demeaning, because if those people ever went to a church, no matter which other church, is because they wanted to find spiritual well-being, to further themselves, to purify themselves. to become more than just who we are. Sometimes to find solace. But when they walk away from a church, from a religion, and they become bitter and they mock religion and they foul-mouth it, and they are actually proving themselves to be lower spiritually, that they have not improved themselves or furthered themselves in any way. That they actually have descended even lower. Because if you go to a church, then if you see certain things that are not right, because we're only humans within a church, we're only persons. And if you see things that, try to improve it. Try to make it better. Try to be forgiving. But not to be vindictive or nasty or vicious. And so all those publications and everything that I've seen, that's a dark agenda, and that's not good. That means you're not nice, because you're talking about a lot of people. But short of that, if you do that with one religion, all religions, means that religion in general is an evil thing. There's 4,000 million people who believe in a creator and in a higher being, in a higher state of being. We don't believe in ourselves as being higher beings because we're humble enough to realize that, I'm in the flesh, Romans. I'm just, Mr. Dodo, whatever, Don Joe. I got a long way to go. And then once in a while we progress and we get to a different level of consciousness. And then we go like, yeah, right now, I'm the man. Now I got it. And you walk around, and after some time you realize that, wait a minute, I need more refinement. More refinement. The grain can be polished even more so. It's a different level, but spiritually, there's always, on each level, that same capability to progress, to quantum leap into the next level of refinement, until you become love. All embracing love.